Hello, welcome to First Thoughts. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Caleb Lejay.
And today we're discussing the 33rd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, The Marvels. Their first real bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, even people didn't really like Ant-Man 3, but it made money.
It broke even.
It
broke even.
Yeah. The Marvels not looking like it's gonna make a splash, which is a shame, but blame a lack of interest, blame the strike, blame blockbuster fatigue of 2023, blame the fact that you have to watch 3 separate TV shows to really be on board with this one. Actually, 4 separate TV shows if you count Hawkeye. And
blame the fact that even though it was $1 billion hit, not a lot of people really even liked the first film all that much.
Yeah, I think that movie, it was riding the Infinity War tide, and good for that. But Captain Marvel, regrettably, has proven to be a bit of a divisive cinematic character. And here we are with a movie that I frankly thought was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I didn't, I really liked the mid-credits scene. I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah.
But it didn't really, it didn't wow me, but I liked it.
I liked it. It fixed a lot of issues I had with the first film, as far as like Brie Larson having a lot more work, which seems like she was given them more to do, maybe for a more entertaining character to watch. Iman Vellani continues to be like one of the biggest MVPs of like the current like status of the MCU. Like, please just keep putting her in these things because she is great. The Nick Fury of it all is kind of weird if you watch Secret Invasion. That part's weird. We'll get into that later. I like that. I put it in my Letterboxd review. There was a double-edged sword to its runtime, because this is one of the few times we actually have something below 2 hours as a superhero film. On one end, I was so relieved. I was like, "Oh my god, thank you!" And I gotta agree with Nia DaCosta. Like, just give us the movie. You don't need all this fluff to, beef up the runtime. No offense to things like the Black Panther: Wakanda Forever or other films. I was just like, please cut some stuff out. But then the flip side of that was like, it was moving at such a brisk pace that like it never gave a lot of emotional moments, a lot of specific scenes time to breathe before we moved on to the next one. So it was like a double-edged sword with that. As much as I liked the pacing, I had a good time with it, and I was having a lot of fun. It's like we didn't get a lot of breathing room, especially for more emotional beats. Especially considering what Captain Marvel was supposed to kind of get into. But yeah,
well, I agree with you. As good as the chemistry was among Brie Larson, Teyonah Parris, and Iman Vellani, it was awfully forced in the beginning. It was like, there's not a lot of reason for this. Like, the partnership is pretty like, because we have to.
Yeah.
Especially with Miss Marvel, like, they don't know who she is. They've never met her. They don't know who this kid is, and they are very willing to just be like, okay, now you're the third. Congratulations. Let's be best friends and die for each other.
Like, yeah, there's like a point where like they're trying to like free this get the scrolls out of that city, and Brie Larson's like, move, Kamala or something. I'm like, when did she know her name? I was like, we didn't get a scene where they like actually like legit said, "Hey, my name is," you know what I mean? Like, we just got this.
I thought the same thing when later on in the movie, like, they're talking about where they think Dar-Ben's gonna go next, and Kamala is the one who said like something about Dar-Ben, and I'm thinking like, when did you find out who the bad guy is? Like, how do you know what's going on here?
Yeah, and that's why I said like, it was like a double-edged sword with the runtimes. For once, I was actually kind of like, maybe you should have made this over 2 hours, because you're going so fast. Things are being said, things are happening that don't always make a lot of sense because we're just moving.
And also, Miss Marvel was like the least watched show in the entire MCU run so far. So I think you're putting a lot of faith in an audience who probably didn't watch that to just be on board with who this is. There's no
Yeah,
explanation for who Kamala Khan is, who Miss Marvel is. They just assumed you watched the show. So, and I did, so I was on board, but a lot of people didn't. A lot of people also didn't watch WandaVision, so they don't know who the hell this light lady working for Fury is. A lot of
look,
people don't know who the hell Kate Bishop is. Like,
I watched WandaVision and I forgot she was in that show because we've had such a deluge of mediocre content. I'm sure. Well, I know we're going to talk about Phase 4 quite a bit, but that like I legit forgot and was like, when the fuck was she in WandaVision? Like I spent at least the first like maybe half of the film going, when the fuck was she in it? Oh, that's right. She was with the organization that was keeping tabs on that. I was like, it took me a minute to remember.
that's hilarious, and I bet you are not alone in that. And also, like if you want to understand why Nick Fury's in space, probably should have checked out Secret Invasion. So that's a
But
lot
this
of
is
extra shit for this
it's a lot
movie.
of extra, and this is what I was getting at. Secret Invasion, if you did watch it, and this is where you can kind of tell this shit is blown up kind of in Marvel's face. Because you have like again, and this is coming from me at least, and like so I mean I'm the only one forgetting where she was in WandaVision, spent half the movie trying to figure that shit out, then finally clicked into place. And then I'm watching this going, wasn't Nick Fury having like a big moment of crisis in Secret Invasion because he fucking felled the scrolls big time? So why we all of a sudden in this movie, I got like phase one type joking, having a great time. Fury, like he's still fucked over the scrolls.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up because remember I told you like right before we started recording that I was going to ask you something and I wrote it down.
Mm-hmm.
This movie completely voids Secret Invasion. The
Yeah,
whole damn thing.
yeah. Are we doing what fucking like remember when recently um they they were like, hey, by the way, Curse of La Llorona is not a part of the Conjuring universe, and conveniently it's the least grossing film in that franchise. Fucking convenient, right? It kind of feels like because that was one of the worst reviewed, and so I'm gonna say it's damn near a piece of shit show compared to the comics, and it just wasn't very good. Are they just like, ooh, we dropped the ball on that? Maybe
Well,
not even talk about it, huh? It feels like they're doing that shit now.
they have so much content, and obviously there's nobody keeping that shit in line anymore. Um, it does. I remember reading somewhere that like there's a rumor that Secret Invasion was supposed to be Captain Marvel 2, but shit got retooled behind the scenes.
That would make sense because I know I've heard from some YouTubers and stuff I like to watch that they made a good point. They're like, this movie feels like Captain Marvel 3 and not Captain Marvel 2. Because it feels like they even said like the whole Darwin thing, they're like, when the fuck did that become a thing?
Yeah,
Like
like the whole accusers, like the Kree, like all that. It does feel like we missed a movie.
we did because I remember watching and going, I don't recall any of this at the end of Captain. I was like, am I going crazy? Like I'm like, am I just having a moment like I current like how I can remember Monica from fucking WandaVision? I'm like, am I just forgetting the ending to Captain Marvel? I was like, I swear to God, we got none of this. What the fuck?
Back to the Secret Invasion thing, what really pissed me off, that show is all about the refugee scrolls being unable to find a place to live in the universe. And what do we find in this movie? A perfectly serviceable scroll colony just living life.
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
don't like. Look, I have a lot of beefs with the whole Secret Invasion show, and this isn't. Look, I understand. Before any comic nerds come at me, I get you cannot quite adapt the entirety of that thing for a show because of licensing issues in real time, unlike comics, right? Even then, dear God, they dropped the ball on that show hard. Um, it kind of makes sense though if that was meant to be Captain Marvel 2, because actually it made a whole lot of sense. That show would have been better if you somehow could have convinced Brie Larson to do that show. It would have made sense because of what Captain Marvel. Wow, actually, it would have made a hell of a lot of sense. Um,
but isn't that annoying? Where it's like they made such a big deal in Secret Invasion. Like we searched everywhere, we searched so many planets, we couldn't find anywhere for you. But here's a bunch of
mhm.
scrolls, and then what happens as soon as they get displaced? They call Valkyrie, and they just set up shop in New Asgard.
Yeah, they set up shop in New Asgard, and again, we had a whole show of like Nick Fury being reminded about how much he felt them, and then we get to this movie, and that's out the window. That is
Yeah.
gone.
Fuck Talos and all of his people, I guess.
Yeah, like he feels no remorse. He's cracking jokes. He and also he's friendly with the cat, which again, it's a minute thing, but I'm like, isn't this the same thing that took out his eye? Why is he friendly with it?
And
I'm like,
also, not a cat, a highly sentient, powerful alien who knows exactly what it's doing. So yeah, I would be a little pissed at that thing.
yeah. So I'm like, this was probably the biggest time. I think I will say it's again, and I'm saying someone who did have a good time. It felt like okay, was Feige watching any of this, or was this like leftover from the Chapek era, and they were just getting the vomiting this film out to get it out?
I don't like how it really does fuck with the continuity and spit in the face of recent projects. I really Secret Invasion especially is like if you're gonna call something canon, it has to if it's canon, it's part of the story now. So you have to then build off of that for your shit to make sense. That's how you wanted to do it. You wanted the cinematic universe. You got to stick to the rules at hand. Mm-hmm. And now it just feels like they're winging it.
Yeah, because like I know if anyone comes at me because I'm a big horror movie character and horror films aren't exactly series aren't known for their continuity, but at least they're blatantly like, yeah, those are straight up say, yeah, we didn't give a shit. We just want to make a film that we liked. Like I gotta give the horror guys credit. They'll just straight up say like, yeah, no, we didn't give two shits about the continuity going into Texas Chainsaw 3. Hey, at least you're saying it, you're being upfront about it. But this, they have prided themselves on how everything is connected. Plus, even though granted, I'm not gonna lie, while I was cleaning my place today, I had the first Avengers playing on in the background, and I actually forgot for someone that prides itself on continuity, the MCU has had continuity errors since the beginning. I forgot at the end the post because since it was on TV, they played the post credit scenes for the roll the credits to the next movie. They have that whole thing in the first Avengers film when that person, his right hand dude, tells Thanos doing this would be to court death, and we never ever 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 got follow up on that comment, like at all.
I assumed it was less like, hey, if you conquer this world, you can fuck death herself. I was thinking it wasn't that. It was more a metaphor of like, are you really want to go up against these people? They'll kill you.
I think it was supposed to be death, and then they found out they couldn't use the character, and they went fuck, and so they just never talked about it again.
I don't think it was that they couldn't use the character. I think it was just it's such a weird fucking story that they had to change that, or else people were not going to be on that story.
Yeah, no, but again, that's my nude. I'm just having a good jab.
What really bothers me in that scene is how tiny Thanos' hands are, because that was just a normal person.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But again, that's just my new compared to like now where it's like you're watching this going like, wait a minute. Like it's just like it's almost like they don't care. Like I said, I know there was for a time there when Chapek was in charge of Disney and he wasn't giving Feige he was taking a lot of control away from Feige and forcing him to do things that Feige was not. I think he even came out and said like, yeah, they made us announce films I did not want to announce because we were nowhere close to ready to getting them right out. So I don't know if that was the thing and what we've gotten, especially in terms of this continuity, is because of we've been having to put out what they've already confirmed and film, that kind of thing. And now that it's Eyzaguirre back in charge, and again, I'm not saying anything nice about these human beings because they suck, and the reason the actors and artists went on strike for so long. But regardless of that,
I'd rather have an asshole in charge who knows what he's doing as opposed to an asshole in charge who doesn't.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, is it now that Igor's in charge and more prone to be like, "Hey, Feige, do your thing. Like, it's worked before, do it again." And now maybe moving forward, we'll get a little bit better with this. I know Eyzaguirre himself has said, "Hey, we're rolling back the TV content because it's just like it's even he straight up said like we put too much out there for Phase 4." And I'm like, "Yeah, no shit. You put too much, it's mediocre as fuck." And now apparently you're not even following your own continuity by the time we get to the Marvels.
I know. I'm like honestly expecting, fucking, I don't know, Iron Man to just show up, but only voiced by Robert Downey Jr. or something. And they're just like, what? Oh yeah, I didn't die. I just took a nap. Like, honestly, like
what you guys saw in Endgame, it didn't count.
Ridiculous. So before we talk specifically the Marvels more, I do want to just real quick run through like the problem era of Marvel, I guess you would call it. Phase 4 and
Yeah,
up to the middle of Phase 5, which is where we're at right now.
we're in phase 5 right now.
Yeah, the Marvels is the middle film of Phase 5.
When the fuck did? Oh, Ant-Man. Right, that's right. Ant-Man was the start.
Remember when we were like very clear on like where we were in terms of like continuity and phases? We were all so focused.
Yeah, it was focused. We usually had an Avengers film to tell us when that. Minus, I think phase 2 when they were like they actually ended with Ant-Man, but they even told people that advance. So like, hey, Ant-Man is the end of phase 2. They're like Captain America: Civil War is the start of phase 3, and we're like, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, weird. So we're gonna go through the movies first, and then briefly touch on the television shows. Phase 4 began with Black Widow. So right there, we should have kind of seen like, yeah, this is not going to be the same quality of product we've been getting over the past 10 years.
Yep.
It's a very forced film. It's got a terrible villain in Ray Winstone trying to do a Russian accent on top of his natural Cockney, and it just sounds like a mess.
Sounds like he's dying. Like it sounds like there's something stuck in his throat.
You fucking what, comrade? It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm just saying everything like really slow so you can really try to get the accent. It's embarrassing.
Very forgettable. It came out in the midst of COVID, so we got that Disney Plus release and theater release.
Done the shady way too, apparently. Like they did not tell her that's what they were doing.
Nope.
We should have probably then got an idea of like, oh, this is not the MCU that we know and love anymore.
Scarlett Johansson sued for residuals, pretty much fractured her relationship with Disney moving forward.
Yeah, and actually, oddly, a precursor to what eventually actors and writers went on strike for anyway.
Yeah, that was a portent. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, when you think about it, because I remember when I heard about it, I was like, look, I mean, I know I usually don't care about rich people problems because you have enough money, shut the fuck up. No one cares. ScarJo. But at the same time, like I'm like business wise, she has every leg to stand on because they told her theater, then they fucking without telling her said like, hey, put it on streaming. Don't tell her though. Like business wise, that's shady as shit.
Like, did they think she wasn't gonna notice? Like,
yeah, they advertise it so much.
Like her and Jost aren't gonna watch Disney Plus and see her movie there and be super pissed.
Yeah, right. Like, hey, what the fuck? I do remember this film was like many films of this phase. It was fine. I thought it was fun, but I thought like, why are we just now getting a Black Widow solo film?
Yeah,
took way too long. There were things I like I like Taskmasker. I thought that was a cool. They did a good job getting that villain or that character into the MCU finally.
Yeah.
And I did really obviously the breakout to me was Florence Pugh. She was fucking great. Like, yeah. She was making me laugh constantly, especially with the superhero landing. She's just like, yeah.
I
David Harbour was great too.
Harbour was good. Rachel Weisz was okay. I think it's just like after Endgame. I mean, at that point, when you deliver a product like that, is it at all possible to get back to that point at all? I mean, everything after that, you pretty much are like measuring it against a movie like that, and you have to manage your expectations. And that
makes. I remember when this first started, people were like, "Hey, just give it a chance." Remember how Phase 1 stuff was all meandering, and we didn't know what was going on. Phase 1 was like, "Yeah, that was Phase 1 before when this was starting." I'm like, "We're in Phase 4, dumb fucks." Like, you can't do the same thing the fourth phase into your series. Like, you got it. You can't. Like, the jig is up. We got the big conclusion. I to this day do believe that Marvel should have taken a break and maybe soft reboot or something, but taking a break and then come back stronger than ever with an actual fucking plan and something that they want to move forward with. Something that, by the way, we're just now seeing playing out with a tease at the end of the film that should have been a fucking post-credit scene in the Marvels, but they just tacked on at the end of the film. Don't understand why they did it like that. You know what I'm talking about.
I think that honestly they did that because it's not a guarantee people are going to stick around and watch the post credits anymore. I think now it's like people might just leave because they didn't like it.
Yeah, that's true. Because I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, I was like I was like, okay, finally, we are getting something we have. I know you and me have talked about more likely happening. Or they're finally saying, yes, this is what we're leading to. This is something we're leading to. Sweet, fucking thank you. Took you 2 fucking years to fucking tell me that, but whatever.
Yeah. And let me just also say, Kelsey Grammer is having a hell of a year.
Yeah, good for him. Well, good for him. And in one case, his voice really that was not him.
I know, but I love that the shape was like very comic.
Yeah, yeah,
I could
that was
tell by the
neat.
way the lips were moving, like you did this over the phone.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I don't think any amount of CGI could have fixed that. Um, but yeah, I was like, okay, cool, but shouldn't this be like a post credit? I remember like, shouldn't this be like a post credit thing or like a mid credit scene? Then the mid credit scene be the post credit scene. I was like, what the hell?
um, did you stay to the all the way to the end of the credits? Was there anything at the end of the credits?
I said over to the cat alien meowing.
I fucking knew it. I deliberately left because I told myself like it's gonna be some goose bullshit, isn't it? I knew it, so I'm glad I left.
Yeah, I stayed for nothing. But yeah, Black Widow, it was fine. And yeah, I weird thing to follow up Endgame with.
Yeah. Well, Endgame. Well, first we got the like epilogue of Spider-Man: Far From Home, which was a great movie. So Black Widow was like the next step of that. But yeah, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That was the next one. This was awesome. Really cool, new, unique, and Marvel is apparently shelving any future plans for this character.
Yeah, it pisses me off because I remember seeing this one and actually really liking it, going, oh, okay, here we go. I liked this. Like it was unique, it was different. They pulled off the fight choreography because I was like, come on, like you know me, like when it comes to fight choreography, I'm sorry, I just not have faith in the MCU with that.
No.
I'm like, you're not gonna give me like John, but like they pulled it off. The martial arts stuff looked really cool.
You cast a Hong Kong vet like Tony Leung as the Mandarin, and you are going to get the real deal.
Yeah. And yeah, well, I was more worried about the technical on Marvel side. Like, would they be able to pull off actually like good choreography and things like that? But they did. I give them credit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm just saying, like he wouldn't have joined it if he didn't see this as a valid product because he's very.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was a big hit, and then they announced sequels in a Disney Plus show because they did that at the time for everything, and we haven't seen shit again. I'm sure it's one of the untitled Marvel films that got shuffled here recently, but like they haven't given us any update on the sequel.
And the end, like the post-credit scene of that movie, involved Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner looking at the origin of the Ten Rings, and that looked like that was going somewhere. And we have yet to see any kind of follow-up to that, despite seeing both Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel and Wong, for that instance, in other projects.
Yeah, and this really was like the beginning of like me getting annoyed with where it started to feel disjointed. Like, okay, we're hinting at a lot of stuff, but where are we going? And again, that when people kept saying like, just remember phase 1 and like 2, guys, I'm like, it's not those phases, so stop. I'm like,
it is the loyalty is displaced. Like, you got to take every film on its own. You got to do that. Just because they made Avengers Endgame does not mean they can, drop the ball every other time and just ride that goodwill till the end of time. That's not how it works.
No, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you cannot have this disjointed feeling in phase 4. Phase 1, okay, because you were just starting, you were figuring it out, right? To the point that by phase 2 and 3, those end credit scenes meant something. You were like, oh shit, okay, here we go, and they would pay off.
I never actually felt that phase 1 was very disjointed. Like it was very obvious where we were going with that. Was Loki wanted the cube, and that's where we went.
Yeah, the Avengers were forming. Yeah. I'm like, but this one, like, they keep doing mid and post credit scenes that tease something. But I'm like, where is it going? And even now, we know with the King stuff, we know, but none of it's really coming together. So, like, we have yet to talk about the fucking 10. It's been 2 years. We have yet to talk about these 10 rings again. But they made it seem like a big deal.
We're going to talk about all of the post credit scenes of these movies and how they have led to fuck all, which is all of them did that, which is very weird. But yeah, Shang-Chi is one of the few that I think is very rewatchable and is very fun and exciting. And I really hope Simu Liu and Aquafina get a chance to shine again because they kicked ass.
Yeah, as far as they should be part of this new Avengers. As far as I'm concerned, in some capacity, they were awesome.
They should be. I don't know why they haven't shown up in something, some capacity.
Yeah, almost nothing from this year, that year of MCU films that showed up again.
Nope. And that leads us to Eternals, the black sheep of the MCU, the biggest, just boring fuck up they've made since.
I hated this movie. I hate this movie.
Eternals is nearly 3 hours of bleak existential dread MCU style, which was a very weird decision to make.
Yeah,
And yeah, these characters aren't very well known. I didn't know a lot about them before I saw this movie, and frankly, I still really don't. Um,
I I just remember being really bored. And like, yeah, I didn't know a lot about it. I'm like, look, I didn't know a lot about Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And but then we got that movie and we got the sequel now, the third one.
yeah,
I'm
that's
like, so yeah, so I'm like always like, okay, it's small. I'll give them the benefit of doubt. Maybe they can like find they're coming up with a cool way to bring them in. And once again, I was like, this movie is boring. I'm like, why are they being brought in here? What is their purpose in getting brought in now? Are we ever going to see them again? No, apparently. Then you're bringing up the Black Knight. You got the Blade, one of the dumbest fucking like cameos, as if they thought people were going to clap and go wild by hearing a voice in the background going, "You ready for that, son?" Or what the fuck he said.
I don't think he said that.
He said, I only saw this in theaters.
It wasn't son.
Or it wasn't like you think you're ready for it. It was something. Look, I haven't seen the film since I saw it in theaters. I will not sit through this film again.
I understand. It was a very weird decision to make, especially, and it feels completely alien to the rest of the MCU. Like, it doesn't feel like part of the story at all. The post-credit scene introduces Pip the Troll and Star Fox, who they haven't popped up again.
And we had Guardians 3, so where the fuck are they? Like,
yeah, that would have made a lot of sense, having them pop up in there. The Celestials get introduced. No one's brought up the fact that a giant alien god is sticking out of Earth.
Oh yeah, no one, dude. So there's this producer, this guy I follow, Joe Russo, not to be confused with the Russo brothers. He just has a coincidental last name.
Yeah.
But every time a new MCU film comes out, he puts the new count. He's like, 7 movies in, we're still not referencing this. It's a picture of that. Every time a new fucking movie comes out, he changes it every time.
I love that.
And someone tried being a dick, be like, well, in the newspaper, he goes, if you think he counts in a blink and you miss a cameo, you're an idiot. Like, I was laughing, but yeah, no one talks about that. And then like, you get the setup for the Black Knight that we have yet to see pay off. And like I said, you get the Mahershala Ali Blade voice cameo. I'm like, what the hell, MCU? Who are you? Like, don't you? Why would you just not have him show up in fucking Blade character and actually get people excited in your boring ass movie? I'm like, when have you ever done like what? No, that felt alien. They usually don't do a voice cameo. It's no, hey guys, and you see the character and you're like, holy shit.
Eternals to me reeked of a serious lack of confidence. And confidence in themselves, confidence in the audience. And that movie, more than anything, I think is an omen of what's to come looking back.
Yeah. Also, fuck them for not giving us a fun Game of Thrones reference when we had Jon Snow and Robb Stark on screen together. You fucks.
Yeah, both interested in a woman named Cersei.
Yeah, come on. It was handed to you.
It writes itself.
Handed to you.
Well, these are the same guys who decided to ignore a potential no shit Sherlock moment between Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's handed to you on a silver platter and you don't take it.
Eternals was followed with what might be the only film in the MCU to rival Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yes, the one that, look, even though we all kind of knew the cameos were happening, they did a piss poor job of keeping it quiet.
We all hoped, but I don't think any of us really thought it was gonna actually happen.
Yeah, dude, that up there with Endgame, right? Because I remember in Endgame, the audience losing it when you finally heard Avengers Assemble for the first time, right? Or Cap getting the hammer, right? Yeah. Audience is losing. I was in a packed theater for that one. You know, me and Josh saw the movie No Way Home like opening night, so it was a packed theater again. Honestly, now that like look back on it, the only time I've been to a packed theater for an MCU film was No Way Home. I I don't think I've been to all of my art showings since then have not been packed. Lots of people, but it's slowly been dying off. Um, and dude, but not like the reactions to this day for that No Way Home will forever be in my head more so than Endgame. Because I mean, from Matt Murdock showing them people losing their minds, like we're oh my god, it's Daredevil, it's the one we like. Holy shit! Like, fuck you, Ben Affleck.
It's the one we like.
uh, from that to like the moment it happened, God, the excite. First we get the villains, and it was like, holy shit, get Green Goblin! Oh my god, Doc Ock! But when you see that portal opening up and you see Spider-Man, you're like, no, they didn't. And then it's just a matter of like, which one is it? And Andrew Garfield's fucking face comes on, and you're like, and then like, I lost my shit then, but the moment my boy Toby stepped out of that portal, I was out of my seat cheering with everyone else. I was so happy.
What I'm so grateful for with that movie is it wasn't like a fleeting 2-second cameo. They were legitimate parts of the movie. They were major characters who teamed up with him to save the day. And it was the 3 Spider-Men saving New York. And I love the music stings we got. Like when Goblin showed up, it was the Elfman theme from his movie. Mm-hmm. Like that was magical. And this was amazing.
Yes, and the payoff to so many stories, like when Toby Spider-Man sees Doc Ock, and you get that little exchange between them, and it harkens back to their them in Spider-Man 2 with his like always trying to do better or whatever, like it was like fuck yeah. And then like obviously him Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man saving MJ, dude, my theater lost it. I couldn't even hear the dialogue that they said at first. Until I watched it a second time, because people lost it, because it was like, oh my god, payoff, like he did it, he saved her. Yes, to the shot of all 3 of them flying together, it was like, oh my god, everything about that movie.
There was like all the villains were not phoned in. Like Defoe gave maybe the greatest performance as the Goblin of his whole. He's terrifying in that movie.
Dude, I loved when I heard that apparently he wasn't supposed to be even in the movie as much as he was, and he was like, no, you put me in the movie, I do my own stunts. And I'm like, what?
I mean, he's terrorized the lives of 2 Spider-Men, and I love that. I love that in every dimension, Spider-Man's arch nemesis is the Green Goblin.
Yes.
Like, fuck yeah.
Dude, Defoe and bringing back the classic look of Goblin, how they found a way to incorporate the more classic look was so fucking neat. And God,
Jamie Foxx got to be like a proper Electro.
Yes.
He got to finally redeem that. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man finally earned like the fan respect he'd always deserved. Like it really it paid off on every era of Spider-Man, including the current one. Like Tom Holland didn't get shafted in favor of fan service. He had an amazing arc.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, he had a great arc. He, and they did such, and like I was getting to what I was actually about to say, the big thing with, instead of it being Uncle Ben, because obviously Uncle Ben does not exist in the MCU universe, but Aunt May, and we get that moment, and like it still worked. It was such an amazing scene. It really got you, and again, like pay off to his character. And then one of my other scene that really worked really well was when Tom Holland Spider-Man says, "Do it, even though I know you're going to forget me."
Oh boy!
And God, that scene, dude, watching that scene, and like the look on Doctor Strange's face, even he's like, "You don't want me to do this spell? Like I don't like." I may get annoyed with you, kid, but like I respect you and like what you're doing here. Like, don't make me do this,
dude. Every time I watch, I've rewatched No Way Home way more than I've rewatched any of these, and every time I watch it, I literally cannot believe that this movie exists, that this happened, that the stars aligned in every possible way for everything to work. If one thing didn't work, like if Jamie Foxx turned it down or Tobey Maguire was busy, the whole damn thing falls apart.
Tobey Maguire busy. Okay, go on.
I'm just saying. you reach for anything. But it's an amazing film, and really kind of makes me bummed that like the rest of this phase is so disjointed and not all that great, because this movie is a fucking work of art. This movie is amazing. So where was everybody else?
Dude, I don't know. Yeah, this movie was fucking like amazing. I do laugh because people point out if you watch the scenes now that it's not in a packed theater where like
Yeah.
Tony McGuire and Andrew Garfield come out, they do pause actually before they like the scene takes a beat to let the audience applause. So now
Yeah.
when you watch it, there's like an awkward, like a little bit too long lingering on the shot.
Yeah, it's like a laugh track on a sitcom. It is weird. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
especially with Andrew Garfield just standing there like, okay. It's like, all
yeah,
right, move. Yeah, say
yeah.
something.
Move along. But still, like other than that minor quote, this was like this movie's great. I will always remember the theater experience and how great it was. And then like yeah, the paying off from all three Spider-Man and having I can imagine like the otherworldliness must have felt like to be on set with all three of them in the costume for shooting these scenes.
Well, I love that
Um
like all three of them became like super quick friends because they bonded really fast.
over being Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
I do love like the humor they were able to pull from having three too. Like, obviously a lot of people have their beefs, with the MCU style humor sometimes. It's not really bothered me. It's always just been like, okay, yeah, they're quippy. That's just what they are.
Yeah. At
Cool.
the end of the day, these are
Um,
kids' movies.
yeah, like it get over if the humor doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. That's fine. Humor's subjective, but stop bitching about it. Um, this is one of the best humor though, I thought, with how they just had so much fun playing up like having all three of them like with the hey Peter, huh? Me? And like oh you mean him? Like it's just like that fun they were having
Yeah.
both on the humor side, but then like even like you said, or when they're talking before the battle about where their webs come from and stuff, and they're all geeking that Tobey Maguire just comes out of him naturally. And I love the wait, where else does it come out? Like does it
I
come out
love when
like
Tom
this?
Holland's like, it's okay. I was part of a team. I was in the Avengers, and Toby's like, the Avengers? What's that?
Yeah. What's,
It's just, yeah, it's a
oh,
fantastic. It's perfect.
yeah.
It's a perfect movie. It really is.
It really is. And then like, oh, I was gonna say, and then like even the emotional stuff between the three of them is great. Like the post Aunt May death when they
Mm,
go to talk to him
yeah,
is a fantastic fucking scene.
it really is. It's lights out. Okay, yeah, we could gush about No Way Home forever. It really
We
is.
we did for like 3 hours back on like sneak preview.
I remember. Yeah, that was our first like giant fucking episode.
It really. I remember Austin texted me because I saw it like on my birthday weekend, basically, or like the day before or after. He's like, "Hey, happy birthday, man!" I was like, freaking the fuck. I was like, "Thanks, also Spider Man." Like I was losing my mind, like because I saw it after the movie.
Austin and I were in LA that week, and we got back the day it came out, so we had to wait a day to see it. And that whole day, I stayed off social media. I didn't want anything to be accidentally leaked to me. I didn't want to see like, oh my god, the rumors are true, or like
Mm,
this scene analyzed in like a new picture of Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Like I didn't want
yeah,
anything, and I managed to beat it, and I got to see it like that Friday night and packed theater, and it was glorious.
yeah, yeah, and just and again, I kind of talked about earlier. Like, I really hope the MCU gets back on track because like that theater experience in Endgame, and even like the non big movies like your Civil Wars and your Ragnaroks and stuff like that. Like those are fun theater experience because everyone was all on board with like this is a good movie. We're having fun, and I just haven't felt that since No Way Home came out.
No, me neither. That's a damn shame. I remember feeling that in almost every other movie, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Well, next up is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which, Sam Raimi comes behind the camera. He's clearly got the superhero movie street cred to pull something like this off. But the movie feels awfully manufactured and very much reconstructed. Like the original idea was something else, and they had to kind of rebuild. You'd really get that vibe here.
Because it was, and this was probably the beginning, I think, of what we would start seeing again. A sign of things come with the MCU as we know it, which is production issues behind the scenes. When this was first announced, Scott Derrickson was attached to direct, who had done Doctor Strange. For horror fans, he did Sinister, Exorcism of Emily Rose, and he actually did a Hellraiser movie. I forget which one off the top of my head, but his very first movie, cutting his teeth to directing, was a Hellraiser straight to video sequel. Yes, it's a fun fact for those who didn't know. He was attached, and they said, and I remember them saying it. This was going to be the MCU's first horror film. All right, because I remember that I was like, oh shit, all right, let's go. Bring it the fuck on. And then of course, time went on, and all of a sudden, well, we don't really mean the first horror film. We're actually kind of downloading that. It was like it was happening, right? Like, oh shit, okay, now we're walking back what we're saying. And then I guess because of that, Scott Derrickson left, citing creative differences, aka he wanted to go for that horror. MCU said no, even though that's what they advertised it initially as being. So then they were like, well, let's get Sam Raimi. He does horror. He's done superhero films. The Spider-Man, like you said, he has that cred. Bring him in. I think he was itching to kind of get back into it and give it a go. So I, you could tell he at least would get a style in there. Like we got a lot of Raimi isms with the camera and stuff that I really appreciated and enjoyed.
Yeah.
But the failures, I do not, and we got the Bruce Campbell cameo. So I'm so happy to get in the Oldsmobile. I forget where, but it does pop up in the movie. I was happy to get like Raimi was able to get his style and his voice in there. But yes, it felt like this was not the original intent of the film. This was not meant what it was going to be. And Raimi came in probably after the script was completed, and they were like, look, man, just direct what we got. And he went, all right.
That would happen 2 more times in the MCU where the original idea had to be retconned and turned into something else. One time due to unfortunate tragedy, and another time due to I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. So, but we'll get to that. This movie introduces the Illuminati, where we get some fan service. We get a John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, brief appearance, which will lead nowhere because he doesn't want to do a franchise. We got the return of Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, along with a little X-Men animated theme music. That was very nice.
That was nice. Granted, I didn't watch an animated series, so after I saw this film, so I was like, oh.
I hadn't either, but I knew the music and I knew the chair. So that was cool. And then Lashana Lynch as their Captain Marvel and Haley Atwell as Captain Carter from the What If cartoon. This is the line of defense against the Scarlet Witch, who takes on a villain role and fucks them all up in about 2 minutes. Oh, and Black Bolt there too.
Mostly we get Black Bolt from the failed Inhumans TV show, if anyone dares.
Which was ballsy for actually like bringing that into canon in some capacity. But as Feige said, any Marvel property ever made is now part of the multiversal canon. So
yeah, which I mean, I give him credit. Hey, not everything's gonna be a hit. Not everything's gonna be a winner. No. I look, even though this Illuminati cameo ultimately leads to absolutely nothing, I do remember thinking like, okay, you know what? Even if this leads to nothing, it's fun. I think another big thing that happened with this film was that it came right after No Way Home, and I do remember the hype train because they were very open about this being a multiverse film. It's in the title.
Yeah.
Was like, oh, we're going to get some crazy cameos. You won't believe what we got in this film compared to No Way Home, and it's not. It's a very contained story within the multiverse.
I love cameos. I love fan service, but you can't rely solely on that, and that's what's starting to happen around here. Like No Way Home had tons of fan service, tons of cameos, but it was around a very, very good story.
Yeah, well, and there's good fan service and bad fan service. Good fan service is No Way Home and like Endgame, like because you're ultimately paying things off that people want.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like Cap getting the hammer, yeah, it's fan service, but the seeds were laid back in Age of Ultron, so it was like, oh shit, and so it was yes, you're fan service and giving fans what they want, but you're paying something off anyway that you set up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's good fan service, right? Or the whole Avengers Assemble, the fact that we waited at that time 11 years for that, like, but it was the right time to say it. It made, again, yeah, it's fan service for finally getting the line, but they waited for the right time to do it. It made sense.
Yeah.
Same with No Way Home with all their fan service. Like you said, I would say Multiverse Madness is what we call bad fan service. Cool, we got John Krasinski. Okay, he's made it very known he's not doing a fucking MCU film, him or Emily Blunt, his wife. So we're not getting that, 2-for combo, like,
and then to just
bother
to have Scarlet Witch like unceremoniously kill all of them. Reed Richards and Charles Xavier, especially, like, would the versions of those characters I know in the comics would never fucking fall for that. Like, they're the smartest men on the planet. Like, they would have a contingency here. It really made some iconic characters look fucking stupid.
Yeah, like you bring back fucking Patrick Stewart to play Xavier, and you're like, oh shit. And then it's not even, it's the animated series, but people know and love. I'm like, why not have it be the X-Men universe, which they had already fucking bought Fox at this point.
Yeah. Thankfully,
Why,
they didn't abandon that, and we will, as we see later, we're going in that direction.
yeah, but you know what I mean? Like you kind of just pull from that one and kind of like start again, do good fans who start establishing, hey, we bought this.
Yeah.
Lay the seeds. We're eventually getting our version of the X-Men. Instead, they said, like you said, wild card bad fan service. Fuck it, fans won. Put Xavier in there. Does it make sense? Don't give a shit. Put him in there.
And then our post-credit scene here involves Doctor Strange getting a third eye from reading a book that's evil. And then Charlize Theron shows up as Clea, some interdimensional sorceress, and tells him, hey, I need your help. And we have heard nothing about that since.
Yeah, so a couple of things I want to point out with this whole ending to Strange, because it's a strange ending to the Doctor Strange film. One, the movie ends when he gets the third eye and he freaks out about it, and then the post-credit scene, he's A-okay with the eye.
Yeah.
And then Charlize Theron pops up as a character. I had no fucking idea who she was. I had to look it up. I was like, who the fuck is this? Not even anyone significant in the fucking comics of Doctor Strange. So I'm like, okay, what was the point? And then, yeah, we have yet to touch this again, much less Charlize Theron even hint as to her still being in the MCU.
Well, I was reading something recently. I guess she has accepted other jobs because she no longer knows if she's got any future in Marvel because no one's talked to her about this.
Is it because they changed their contract thing? Because I know they stopped doing the thing where they had you sign up for multiple films because they were getting backlash from, like, maybe you guys should go back to that, because at least then we knew, hey, we got this actor for this role. They're going to play this character. We have plans for them.
Yeah. Well, the well is so fucking populated by characters now. They don't have enough product to pay all this off anymore. It's unfortunate. So Strange 2 is followed by probably the most divisive film thus far, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh boy.
People fucking hated this.
Yeah, they did.
They turned on Taika so fast. It was crazy.
Apparently it's bleeding over and Mexico wins.
Yeah.
I didn't really like this one. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. I thought the humor in this case overrode over. So okay, so like the Marvels, I thought the runtime betrayed, or the pacing portrayed a lot of emotional moments. The humor betrayed so many emotional moments.
Yeah.
Whereas Ragnarok had a perfect blend. Love and Thunder, like, it deals with a storyline where Jane has fucking cancer, and that's why she's wielding the hammer.
Yeah.
Because she's dying, and at no goddamn point is it ever taken serious enough that when they finally do take it a little bit serious, I felt nothing. I wasn't crying. I felt nothing because you haven't done it the whole goddamn movie.
Christian Bale was wasted so badly. His casting as Gore the God Butcher was inspired. The character is really cool. The character opens as an intimidating, frightening force with a legitimate bone to pick.
And then disappears.
Yeah.
For so much of the movie, but he's talked about.
Yep. And in the end, kind of just fizzles out.
Yeah. And we get Russell Crowe as Zeus.
As pudgy, middle-aged, probably easy to kill Zeus.
Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, it looks like Russell Crowe's having a good time in this very interesting phase of his career as a overrate, playing over the top actress with characters with horrendous accents. Apparently also does the same thing in The Pope's Exorcist. So good for him for this like stage of his career, but like, what the fuck in this movie?
I don't know. There's the goats. There's the brief Guardians of the Galaxy appearance. There's Thor's ridiculously over the top biceps. Taika Waititi. I mean, look, all right. I've enjoyed everything I've seen him do. Thor Ragnarok was amazing. Jojo Rabbit was really good. Like
What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows is fantastic. I think it's weird that he doesn't quite miss the. I don't think the movie's terrible, but it is dumb. He misses the mark, and now all of a sudden he's a fucking pariah. I don't think that's fair.
No, I don't agree with that. Like, and like, I know I'm saying this is something that like quite had my way with David Gordon Green with Texas Believer, but I went into that hoping like change my mind. Hopefully I'll really like this movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I want to do the same thing when Mexico wins. I'll be like, hey, look, man, you had a misstep with this. I was like you, I've liked all your stuff. I just think the humor just completely destroys anything to get me invested emotionally in Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Um, I have hopes that next goal wins. It's going to be good. I'm going to give it an open mind. I do think, like you said, a lot of people are going into that one now being like, man, fuck Taika Waititi. And like, because I'm always seeing people bitch about next goal wins. And I'm like, man, we were just completely turned against him.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a movie, no, I don't really like Love and Thunder. I just did not think this was a good follow up to Ragnarok.
Now, this is probably the last time we're going to see Thor, admittedly, because Chris Hemsworth is has recently been expressing his desire to like retire almost. Like he's apparently he's got quite a history of early onset Alzheimer's in his family, and I think he's lost his desire to do this anymore.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely get an Extraction 3 from him because I know he's been open about wanting to do a third Extraction film. But I think those are also filmed close to his home, so I think that's why he's open about doing those. And hey,
Yeah.
bring it on. And I do remember when they did the whole like Thor return at the end of this film. Apparently, both Taika and Chris Hemsworth were like, "We will." Like they were both like legitimately surprised. Like,
And that's a dick move. You don't do that shit.
yeah. So it's like, man, what is with these studios doing this movie? Like, hey, we're doing this movie, and they're actually being like, you didn't talk to us. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And once again, we have a post-credit scene that has led nowhere.
Yeah,
We
nowhere.
have the appearance of Hercules, played by Ted Lasso's Brett Goldstein. And he apparently has quite a bone to pick with Thor because he kind of hurt his daddy. And we have yet to see anything from Hercules. So there's another one.
Yep, because apparently Chris Hemsworth was super surprised that there's a talk of another Thor movie.
Jesus.
He would.
Well, Thor Love and Thunder was followed by Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And this movie had a lot riding on it. As we all know, a few years ago, we lost Chadwick Boseman to cancer. And he had a pretty significant part to play in the MCU's future, starting here. So Black Panther Wakanda Forever had to be completely retooled to be half eulogy, half sequel. And the eulogy part I thought was done very tastefully, very beautiful, very respectful, and a great send off for an incredible actor and a decent human being who we're all going to miss.
Mm-hmm.
The sequel part is a fucking mess.
I have the same sentiments. As a tribute, this thing was beautiful. As a sequel, this thing was a fucking disjointed mess.
Yeah. Our bad guy here is Namor, the Submariner, King of Atlantis, or in this case, not Atlantis. I don't remember what his version.
Apparently, all I remember is that after the film came out, they talked about how they had to like digitally remove his bulge. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Okay, MCU.
And then Tena Huerta got accused of some shady behavior and is probably gone from the MCU. I doubt we'll ever see Namor again.
Yeah, awesome.
Great. All the supporting characters, frankly, just don't have the charisma needed to lead a franchise like this, apart from Angela Bassett, who actually earned an Oscar nomination for her role in this.
She legitimately was really good in this movie. I think the big thing is like one, they weren't really that charismatic, and two, like no matter how hard they seemed to be trying to be funny, you could tell there was that just shadow in the movie and in their performances. Like the shadow was there and it wasn't going away, obviously. It also does a lot with the newer films have done. It's like a sequel to 25 Other Things because it, has plot points that are done in other shows, like getting brought up in here. They bring in Riri Williams, which, is supposed to be the new Iron Man as Ironheart, because she's supposed to be getting a show that has yet to come out with any update on, actually, as of now, still no update.
Yep, another limboed character. Sucks. Yeah, and I honestly, I've only seen this the one time. I don't remember it very well.
Yeah, I saw it the one time in theaters. I remember and then I also remember I didn't really like how they ended it with the ambiguous, like taking on the mantle of Black Panther. Like again, it was one of those things as a tribute, it worked really well, but as like a sequel plot point, it was terrible. I was just like,
yeah.
So is she? Are we going to wait? Like, what are we doing with this character then? Like, There
And
was no definitive like, okay, this is what's happening with the character. It was weird. I didn't like it.
the way they kind of just abruptly end the war with not Atlantis by her basically saying to like Namor, like, we got to be better than this, and Namor being like, yeah, okay, I'll abandon my lifelong quest for vengeance because you said some words to me. And I know that Namor's kind of a good guy in the comics, kind of a bad guy depending on the situation, but I think they could have done him way better. And hopefully, frankly, I think he's probably dead in the water. And then we get a post-credit scene where Nakia had a child. She also named T'Challa. So that's how they're going to get around the Black Panther recasting. They're going to just like speed up time for a bit and cast somebody else as not T'Challa, but T'Challa Jr.
And that's what I say. As a tribute, it's great. As a sequel plot point, it's the dumbest shit they could have thought of.
Yeah. What a damn shame. That is the end of 4. So we're 3 films into phase 5, starting with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which was the first time where everyone collectively said, nah, this is shit. Which was really surprising because I thought it was fine. I didn't think Ant-Man 3 was dog shit. I thought it was fine.
I thought it was fine. I remember really liking Jonathan Majors as like King. Like he fucking brought it. I thought Catherine Newton, who it still blows my mind. Like I remember watching Supernatural and seeing her in that show. And look at her now, like good for her. Absolutely good for her.
Yeah.
I thought she was a really, really cool addition. I did think it was interesting that Evangeline Lilly, who's made some controversial right-leaning remarks on social media, had a very reduced role in this movie. Very interesting how that happened.
No more Wasp and no more Kang either. I've actually heard I've heard rumors that like they keep referring to him as like a Kang now, not the Kang.
Apparently, oh yeah, they're like a Kang.
They're backtracking on this being the actual Kang of the Kang dynasty, who they will be fighting in Avengers 5. So, way to go! Good job there.
Good job. I do remember. As far as the whole CGI, this is when the beginning, or it really ramped up with the CGI-ness of like quality in MCU films. I remember it being like, I didn't think it was like terrible. I remember going like, it doesn't look that great all the time. Yeah, I remember thinking this was fine. This was the financial wise a sign of what was about to come, because yes, this one broke even, which for those who don't know, basically the film made about its budget, which is not good for anyone.
No.
Like no one, you don't get profit on it, but I mean, yeah, you don't make a loss on it, but you also don't profit on it. Like literally nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like
neutral.
It's neutral. It's really not good. It's a not good type of neutral.
Well, the film basically like I don't like the whole like the way Michelle Pfeiffer is constantly like, oh, I had to avoid him. And
yeah, in a movie
and it's like, we all know it's Kang. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, I was like, I don't like, is Marvel losing their touch? Because like they keep doing they did it for like half the film. They're like, oh, we can't talk about him. He's going to know. I'm like, it's Kang. You've advertised this with Kang in it. Like you've made it known Kang's in the movie. What are you fucking trying to hide?
And then Kang gets defeated by Ant-Man, which I feel like would never fucking happen. But hey, and he's obviously like, he's trapped in that ball or something that we saw in Loki. And
yeah, I remember like I actually kind of got excited though at the almost like dark ass ending they were kind of teasing where like Ant-Man was going to go in there with him to ensure he gets trapped.
Well, that's where I mentioned earlier that like, a couple more movies got switched around due to events. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was very clearly supposed to be a much darker movie.
Well, yeah.
And it got swapped around because the studio lost confidence in the audience's ability to accept that and decided to just make Shrinky Man Funny 3.
Yeah, which I thought I'd be like, are they really about to be like, because I was going to be like, oh, dude, I remember watching going, that would be real ballsy if they end it the way I think they're going to end it. Like, I'd be fucking down. Like, so I'm thinking, like, oh, the things you could bring up in future. That's what I'm thinking, like, the way they could approach this in future films. And then they don't do that. They end the way they do. And I'm like,
I would have had Kang kill Hank Pym and trap Scott in there with him and like be torturing him for like years. And then down the road, somebody finds that ball and releases Kang and a like brutally fucked up Ant-Man. And that's how we know, like, oh, he's the real deal here.
which would then give Casey Lang, who was very clearly going to be part of this new set of Avengers,
Yeah.
An emotional thing that we, the audience, would get attached to immediately going into whichever Avengers film she pops up in.
Yeah. I mean, how serious would we take Kang as an antagonist if he killed the spark of life who like saved the universe in the past movies? You know, Ant-Man gets killed by Kang. It's like, oh god, this guy's real. He's the real deal. But nope, that was too much. And then our post credits involves the Council of Kangs basically saying like, "Oh, we lost one. Better get ready for the war." And we meet Immortus, Ramatut, and the Scarlet Centurion, and a bunch of Kangs who all look like Jonathan Majors. That was not a smart move, Marvel.
Yeah,
You got to explain this.
not a smart move that they only did because of the comic splash that is so famous.
Yeah,
and now it's kind of biting them. That of all the things, that's probably going to bite them the most in the butt when it comes to recasting, because it's like, hey, yeah, it made them all look like Jonathan Majors. Now, granted, you could probably argue you only saw a section of that crowd, so they could argue, well, you didn't see him in camera, which is going to be stupid, but I guarantee you that's what they're going to pull.
Oh yeah, this was the Jonathan Majors section. The next actor section is over there.
Yeah, I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. It's like, it's the only way I can think of them doing it.
I think the smartest thing to do is just pull a Don Cheadle and just act like he's always been there.
Yes, it works. We've accepted Don Cheadle.
Yeah. We accepted Cheadle. We accepted Ruffalo. Like, let's just we're not stupid. We know what's going on. We know it's not the same actor. If you tell us it's the same character, we can get on board.
Yeah, as long as he does get on the road, we'll be fine.
Yeah, my God. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Finally, a bright spot. And this is because James Gunn was pretty much left to his own devices because Disney just they didn't want to talk. They didn't want to chat. They didn't have a lot to talk about.
They were trying to play nice because they knew they fucked up. So they were like, okay, make your thing, James.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the like great last day of work you have before you start your new job at the place that's going to treat you right.
Yeah.
So it worked out. Guardians 3 is fantastic. It's emotionally resonant. It's hilarious. They did fuck up Adam Warlock, but you know, whatever. Can't win them all, I guess.
Yeah, and I gotta give James Gunn credit for straight up saying like, I didn't even want him in the movie. So yeah, we didn't know what to do with him.
Damn. Well, how about it could have just left him in the pod and had, you know, let Chloe Zhao worry about that in Eternals too.
Yeah, apparently it was like that. That was a Marvel decision to have Adam Warlock, and Gunn's like, I didn't know what to fucking do with him. I didn't want him in the movie.
That's a shame. Well, we got Rocket's background and a great performance by Chukwudi Iwuji as High Evolutionary. It's a good movie. Guardians 3 is a good movie, and it ends with a new team ready to take on the Stars and Star-Lord going home.
Yeah, Guardians 3 is great, and it's like I think the only hit they've had this year, like the only hit,
not just Marvel, the only hit Disney has had this year.
Yeah, again, it's amazing what happens when you leave James Gunn alone. Like it's like he knows how to make a good superhero film or something,
It's
or
like
just make a good movie.
It's like when you give an accomplished filmmaker with a good track record, a camera, a good script, and actors, and just leave him the fuck alone. He'll do his job right. Weird, huh?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, I remember really liking this. You know, I gotta, you know, because some people really like to come after James Gunn, especially with his sense of humor in his films, which I like his humor. Just again, subjective. Shut the fuck up if you don't like it. But I really appreciate that he was like, hey, watch this. I'm going to now I'm going to dial it back that here. I'm going to make you really get emotionally invested in these characters more than I ever have. And you know, from that scene when Rocket is in like it's like I guess purgatory, or you want to call it, meeting the other animals, and you think, oh my god, he's about to kill Rocket. Like I remember thinking, like, no, don't do it. I'm not ready. And then like she says it's not your time yet, and he gets pulled back, and you're like, oh thank God. Yeah. And I love that he refused to give us a Gamora Star-Lord reunion. It was a realistic, hey, I know you had something with her. I'm not that version. Sorry. Like that, I really appreciate that. We're finally away from the days of saying, hey, we have a hot male lead and a hot female lead. They have to bang and be together no matter what by the end of the film. We're finally fucking past that shit.
Yeah. James Gunn knows how to write realistic characters regardless of the setting.
Yeah. So I just really liked everything about this movie. The action scenes were great. I yeah, we got the Marvel's first F bomb, but Deadpool 3 is probably gonna do all those F bombs better anyway. Um
Oh boy, it's gonna be interesting for the kids, isn't it?
yes it is. Yeah, the one MCU film we're getting next year and you can't take your kids to go see it. Fuck yes. Um
Uh,
but yeah, this was a really good film. Everyone was, you could tell the actors who made it very known they only wanted James Gunn to direct this film, and after seeing it, I get why. Um, they all brought it. Every from good old Chris Pratt to Dave Bautista. So I mean, every single one of them just absolutely brought their A game, both in the humor and the emotional department. Guardians 3 was great. I fucking love Guardians 3.
Guardians 3 was awesome. It's also our first ever first thoughts. That was Guardians 3.
Oh yeah.
And that takes us to the Marvels. Real quick, we're not going to talk at depth about this. I just want to run through the TV shows we've had to endure to understand the content since 2021. WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Secret Invasion, Loki Season 2. Jesus Christ.
Lots of shows, and look, without going to depth, this is almost a common theme amongst almost all of them. They start off strong, they end strong, the middle sucks.
The biggest problem all of these have, every single one of these should have been a movie.
Well, you know what's funny? You want to hear this? As I remember, for those of you who haven't heard about this, I won't just strap in here. So Daredevil is getting retooled. The upcoming Daredevil show is getting retooled.
No.
Because they fired the original creators, the original creative people. Because come to find out, Marvel had this bright idea, I guess because David Fincher can do it, very select filmmakers can do it, to hire movie people to do TV shows. Problem is, they aren't David Fincher, and insert any other person that has been able to pull off both. They're not them. They know how to make a movie. They do not know how to make a gripping 6-episode season of television. So this came to light when they're retooling Daredevil, and Marvel went, yeah, so we're going to start hiring TV people, TV executives to start doing our Disney Plus shows. We think that's going to help the shows in the future. I'm like, oh, you think by hiring people that know how to do a fucking show? Yeah.
It took them 2 years and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 TV shows that nobody liked to realize that you should hire a TV showrunner to make your TV show. These people get paid millions of dollars to trip on their own fucking feet all the time. It's really amazing. Jesus H. Christ, that is infuriating. Oh my
I know.
God.
I read that. I'm like, are you fucking serious? That's what?
How many times do you have to spit in the fan before you realize it's your fault you're getting spit on your face?
I
Oh,
I was like, holy shit! You guys
millions. Nobody gets
Right.
fired. Nobody gets kicked out of Hollywood. They get moved on to another project and fuck that up too. Ah,
Yeah.
I watched all of this, hoping that the next one was going to be the good one, and it never happened. Oh,
Did I just tell you something that you learned now in this moment live of the recording?
yes.
Oh, this is
And it
awesome.
explains everything. It explains 2 years of terrible television. Oh boy. At least of all the ones for them to figure this out, I'm glad it was Daredevil because I really don't want them to fuck that up.
Neither do I. But it is, when I read that, I had the same reaction. I was like, are you serious? What, did you guys watch Mindhunter and go, hey, Fincher can do it? I'm sure we can. That's a normal thing other people can do. Like, no, very few have that ability. Like movies and TV, yes, they're both entertainment, visual mediums. They're two very different types of visual mediums. So,
But also to think you have the creative talent of David Fincher that you can pull that off. You know,
I'm
I
not saying David Fincher was their example. I just know he's been able to do both. So he's the first one I think of in my head.
it makes sense, and I bet they did. I bet they did use that. Like, hey, Finch got it. Why can't we get it? You know?
Can't we?
Yeah. You know, I love Stephen King. I'm also a writer. Not once have I ever thought, oh, I can do what he does. It's called humility. It's called knowing your limitations. God damn it! No, stay in your lane. Figure your shit out. Figure your own voice out, and stop trying to mimic somebody who's way, way better than you are. Ah,
I love how much this is infuriating you, knowing that movie people that would probably make really good movies out of these things were like, oh, you want us to do like a 6, or in the case of WandaVision, 9-episode TV show? Like, right. I think we can do that.
9 shows. It if it was like the first year, if it was just WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then they're like, oh, these aren't working out, we got to figure this out, then it'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. 2 years and 9 shows. And now they're like, I don't think this is working. It's like, yeah, no shit. Nobody's watching this shit anymore. Oh, God. Thank you for the aneurysm I'm about to have. I appreciate that. Oh,
Oh god, oh god, I'm so glad I gotta tell you that live as we're recording. Oh, what if their solution is like, all right, guys, flip it, get the TV guys to do our movies.
if that happens, that's it. That's the death. That's the nail in the coffin. There's no more Marvel Studios.
We get the most episodic movies ever put into theaters.
My God, every film is like a 3-part, hour-long movie. Like we get one in May, we get one in August, and we get one at Christmas.
With the credits to go with it.
Jesus. Again, these people are millionaires. These people are paid to develop stories. They're paid to create art. This took them way too long to realize.
Yeah, that maybe get people that are experts in the field of television and how to craft it to where like you have an audience, especially weekly, right? Where you can get an audience like every week going at the end of like, oh shit, I can't wait for next week. You know what I mean? Like that early Game of Thrones level of like Hooked, The Boys, Gen V, you name it. Shows that make me go, oh, I can't wait till next week. Like, get that type of level of TV creatives in on your shows. Be like, okay, so this is how you want 6 episodes. This is how we do it. Cut all this shit out. You in at this point, which is going to get people to go like, oh shit, I gotta see next week's now. Like, no, they went, yeah, we'll get the movie guy and like hope for the best.
It's like if you are going down to your car, like you're on your way to work and your car won't move. And you take it upon yourself, like, oh, I know my car. I know how this works. I'm going to fix this car. So you open the hood, you screw around with the transmission, with the engine, and whatever you do, car won't move. It takes you 2 years to realize the car's not moving. So you call a mechanic finally, and this is the first guy to point out you don't have any tires. And you're like, oh, now that makes sense. Okay. All right. So you get some tires, and guess what? Car moves. And everyone else is like, yeah, you didn't have fucking tires. But you act like you figured out some brilliant, unsolvable puzzle.
That was what was crazy. They made it seem like they had a light bulb and we're like, oh, we should probably hire TV people. That would be a good idea, right? Like, yeah, no shit. Why weren't you doing that to begin with? I would love to be like that guy sometimes. That could be in the board meeting going, wait, we didn't do that at first? What the fuck?
I want clout so bad so I can call these people out when they make the dumbass decisions that no one else will call them out on because they're too powerful. Everybody on Earth needs a guy or a girl next to him to tell him he's a fucking idiot when he makes a terrible decision. We all need that.
Yeah, well, luckily it happened during because apparently the original like set of episodes that they were reviewing for Daredevil, he didn't get the suit on until the 4th episode. It was like a courtroom drama because again, it was a movie guy doing it. So he's like, well, if it was a movie, we could get away with like 30 minutes to like 45 of like him not in the suit, right? And it's like, yeah, in a movie, when you're introducing me to the character, but in a show, like, you better not take that goddamn long to get him into the suit. I'm not waiting 4 fucking episodes.
Oh my god! So this guy was shoving like the fucking firm into Daredevil. What an idiot! Thank God Feige got a hold of those scripts and was like, "Get the hell out of my office." Now get me somebody who worked on Law and Order and Batman now.
You know what they should do? I can't believe I'm saying this. Talk to people that have done DC TV shows.
Yeah, DC's TV shows, most of them at least started out great.
Like, look, and I'm actually saying, like, as someone who just watched the series finale of Doom Patrol, bravo. Series, that's one of the best series finales I've watched. Like, get those guys know how to, like, DC can hire people that know how to do a fucking TV show. I'm not talking just CW, but there's stuff outside of that. Like, maybe talk to them. They seem to know what the fuck they're doing and how to craft compelling television.
That crazy? God, how the tables have turned. DC seems to have their act together. Marvel's floundering. Never would have thought ever that would happen.
Yeah, who would have thought?
DC really realized the problem and are starting over fresh with somebody who knows how this works. Marvel is just
Marvel is figuring something out, but making it seem like they're the ones to figure it out when everyone knew already. Hey guys, we got this. We know what the problem is. We haven't been hiring TV people for our TV shows. And everyone's like, yeah, no shit. Like, I would laugh if after the performance of the Marvels, if the upcoming Aquaman movie completely obliterates the Marvels. Because I'm not gonna lie, that trailer, it actually looks like a really fun movie.
This whole situation reminds me of that scene in Beetlejuice when the football players go up to Junho and are like, "Hey, coach, I don't think we survived the crash." She's like, "How'd you guess?" Like, yeah, sometimes you got to let idiots come to their own conclusions.
Yeah,
things work out better. All right. Well, we're well over the hour, so let's say a little bit about the Marvels. I liked it.
I like. Excuse me. It's not the dumpster fire some people made out to me. I do think a lot of it has to do with the dumb rhetoric that's come up since the film was getting closer and closer to its release.
Yeah.
And either you like it and you support the woke movement, which can we please just stop with that shit? Like, that is the most
There's
annoying.
no such thing as the woke movement. Let's just stop right there.
Yeah, like, this woke agenda you're fighting against, you're a fucking moron.
Women and people of color exist. I'm sorry to break the news to you, but they do.
Yeah, sorry you don't like it. Get with the fucking 21st century. Or you don't like the film, and the other side of it we've been saying, and it's because you're a straight white male that hates powerful women, and anything else that's a minority or not a straight white male. And to which I also say, as well, fuck you. Not correct. Yes, I am sure there are people, there are bigots that won't watch the film for that reason, or they'll go in there, say their fucking comments. You have those people, they exist. They're not the majority of the audience that may not have liked this goddamn film.
I think a lot of people are just tired of blockbusters, and Marvel hasn't had the best track record lately. Superhero movies in general have pretty much no longer become a guarantee at the box office, so I get that.
It's a sequel to a film that, yes, was a huge hit, but not a lot of people really liked to begin with.
Yeah.
And it requires homework, right? Like you said, you have to watch like 3 or 4 shows that, let's be honest, a lot of people have not been keeping up with the MCU shows. Because again, that track record. So like, there was a lot stacked against this movie. And no, I'm not hearing the damn argument about the strikes for anyone who wants to talk about those. Well, they didn't have the chance to promote it and stuff. Like, you don't need the actors to promote it. Just play the damn trailer before a movie. When people go see a movie at the theaters.
Yeah.
Like the upcoming Eli Roth film, Thanksgiving. I want to know how many people actually know that film's coming out this week. Because I've seen the trailer one fucking time since I've been to the theaters. I go almost every week. Like, it wasn't the strike. It's they suck at advertising movies.
I did like we did get an explanation on Kamala Khan's bangle. It's a quantum band, and I got really excited because that means, the character Quasar might show up soon. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
comic bands.
yeah, that was cool. Again, I did not. I was like, did they ever hint at that in the show? I was like, again, it just kind of got brought up, and I'm like, oh,
Well,
oh, okay.
admittedly, in the show, the show's not cosmic. Like Miss Marvel didn't know about any of that shit. She just got a gift from her grandma and sent her back in time.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that episode when she gets sent. That was a pretty good episode, actually.
Yeah. Um, Zawe Ashton does a decent job with what she's given, but the character of Darben is so fucking one dimensional. It's sad. Reminded me of Malekith from Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, it really. I wonder. Fun fact for those who don't know, Zari is how you say it, right? Zari Ashton is Tom Hiddleston's Loki's fiance in real life, apparently. You think she complains to them? I'm like, why is it I get the one dimensional character and you get this amazing character arc?
Well, first off, Darben is like a one note character in the comics that they decided to expand into a formidable villain, and Loki is kind of one of the most iconic comic book villains of all
I
time.
know. I'm saying, you think sometimes she bugs him like this is the role I got compared to yours. It's a little like, you know.
I hope not, because he's got ammo for that fight.
He does have ammo for that fight. No, I'm sure they have a lovely time together. Uh, yeah, she tries. Like you can tell she's giving it her all. She's trying, but my God, the character's just she's not giving a lot to do.
Did it bother you that her like big warhammer is smaller than Ronan's?
No.
Bothered me a little bit. I'm like, come on, she's a powerful Kree warrior. She can have the same size hammer. Come on, what are you doing? Reminded me of those Bic for her pink pens.
God damn it. No, I just thought that I was like, look, the actress is trying, character's very fucking one note. Again, that's always an issue with MCU though. Aside from a couple of villains like your Loki's and your Thanoses, like they suck at doing compelling villains. And then 9 times out of 10, within that group of your Loki's and your Thanoses, you have within that group the ones that are compelling, but then they kill off in a movie like Killmonger. Like, god damn it! Like you get a compelling one, then you kill them all. Like, god damn it, Marvel.
Yeah, I don't. And also, with such a vast catalog of characters to pick from, why would you pick like somebody who was in like one issue who was a background character and turn them into Captain Marvel's like worst enemy? Why don't you just use one of Captain Marvel's worst enemies?
Does she have an Edging Rogues gallery in the comics?
I don't know. I never read any Captain Marvel comics, but I'm assuming probably, right?
I don't know, because if I'm being honest with you, there's nothing about this that's made me want to like look into the comics, because I do think they've had a hard ass time making this character compelling. By they, I mean the execs. Brie Larson, I did like a lot more of this movie.
Yeah. So the movie ends with Monica Rambeau getting stranded in another dimension after Darben opens a tear in reality because Captain Marvel literally pulls a Goku and says, like, do you promise to be a good person? And Darben's like, yep, we're all good. And Captain Marvel lifts the thing off her and she immediately threatens Kamala with a hammer. Like, yeah, that was dumb. Y'all should have known.
Well,
y'all should have seen that coming.
Yeah, she threatened Miss Marvel with the hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, which got, again, Iman Vellani, really, she was great in this.
She is great. She did the reading. She knows what kind of movie she's in.
Yeah, and her family cracks me the fuck up throughout this movie. Like when her dad's trying to sell the dude on fucking like investments and stuff. I'm like, god damn it.
So in our mid-credits scene, well, first off, Kamala decides I like being part of a team, so she starts recruiting the young Avengers, starting with Kate Bishop.
Yep.
If you didn't watch Hawkeye, you don't know who the hell this is.
Yeah, you're just like, who? I'm going, oh hey, it's Kate.
Yeah, me too. But and she does, it's a parody on the ending of Iron Man where Nick Fury approaches Tony Stark about joining the Avengers initiative. So that was cute.
It was, and it works because again, Iman Vellani is just so great, and like her delivery of all this stuff was like, it was cracking me up.
I can't wait to never see the Young Avengers movie we're not going to get.
Again, this is what I was talking about earlier, where I'm like, okay, finally we're doing this thing we've been like kind of hinting at, and hopefully leading to. But again, their track record, it means we'll never see this happen again. Nope. But this is what I meant. Like, this felt like something that, again, and this kind of like, I know the marketing the week before this came out, they spoiled, apparently, I guess, Tessa Thompson's
Yeah.
cameo, which I stayed away from. Like, no, don't fucking do that. Like, I need some surprises. This felt like another move to try to like convince people, because back like phase 1, 2, 3, even early phase 4, this would have been like a post credit or a mid credit scene, not a tag at the end of the film. Like, it felt like, okay, this would have been a really cool post credit scene to finally give us like, hey, we're doing it. We're leading into the Young Avengers. The other ones are going to take on Kang.
I think it's time to kill the post credit scene, especially if it's going to be crucial to the future of a franchise. Just put it at the end of the fucking movie before the credits. Just do that. Why do we do this? Why do we do this little dance of like, oh, the movie's over? Oh no, it's not. Why do we do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, at first it worked. Like phase 1, 3, it was exciting, and now, like you said, it's been filled with like things that have never been touched on again.
Yeah,
And
or
so it's like,
a little fucking joke like Spider-Man Homecoming, where Captain America's like, well, sometimes you just wait for no reason and you get disappointed.
yeah,
I don't like that shit. Like,
yeah, and I'm like, look, I'm with you. Just put it at the end of film before the credits, like, and then the mid credit scene, cool, because you're only asking me to stay in the theater for like another minute or two anyway.
yeah.
Okay, whatever. Um, but yeah,
Well, our mid-credit scene in this movie just about knocked my goddamn socks off. And if Marvel ignores this one, they are going to lose a lot more goodwill with fans.
they better not, because this almost felt like you can't ignore this when your next film is Deadpool 3,
Right?
and you've already announced Hugh Jackman's in the movie. And not only that, you've confirmed that the reason how you're working around the Logan thing, the Logan movie of it all, is that this is from a different timeline Wolverine. He's even wearing the suit. So I'm thinking the animated series Logan, or some people based off this movie, off the Marvels. And if you pay attention to the songs at the credits, at the end, they specify the two pieces they picked from were X2 and Days of Future Past. So
Okay.
that's another thing, is that this is from Days of Future Past.
I knew that immediately. I did not need to be told that by the credits. I know
I
that.
didn't even
I know that music.
I don't know it that well. It's been years.
So, all right. So Monica Rambeau wakes up in a hospital. She's delirious and she sees her mom there and she's like, oh my God, mom. And mom's like, who the hell are you? Oh my God, stop calling me mom. And who walks in but fucking Hank McCoy, the Beast, played by Kelsey Grammer.
Voiced by Kelsey Grammer.
You let me have this. You let me have this.
It was CGI creation voiced by Kelsey Grammer.
It was Beast with his animated series shaped head. So that was enough for me. And just bringing Kelsey Grammer back to any capacity was super exciting. I've been on a Frasier kick lately, so I just enjoy hearing his voice.
It's because you're watching the new show, aren't you?
The new show and the old show, like, at the same time, yes.
Okay.
Anyway, Beast says, welcome to where you are. Charles wants an update. We see the danger room door and we hear the little music sting from X2, and I about lost my mind. And I really, really hope this is the official introduction of the X-Men into the MCU.
I hope so too. Cause my jaw literally actually like dropped, and I was like, oh yes. And again, what sucks though is that if you don't watch Miss Marvel, this doesn't really make sense. You're like, well, why are we doing this other than Deadpool 3 is coming out? But it's because in Miss Marvel they established that Kamala has the mutant gene in her.
Yeah.
So it makes sense with that, and the fact that yes, Deadpool 3 is the next movie, and they've kind of established that we're getting some Fox like X-Men nods in that movie, or at least a close off of that. And we might, again, with the type of Wolverine we're seeing, because he's wearing his famous suit from the show, that yes, it makes sense that this would be their mid-credit scene.
Well, Deadpool 3 is also going to have like some significant dimension hopping, considering we're getting Jennifer Garner's return as Elektra as well.
Oh, yeah, that made me excited. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. I was like, look, I'm not gonna lie. As a kid, I didn't like that movie. I thought Jennifer Garner was hot in it, but I remember being like, this is stupid, other than she looks good.
I still have never seen Elektra.
I sat through it and I was like, the only thing this, again, I was like, the only thing this movie has going was that she looks good in the suit. So, I mean, hopefully Jennifer Garner still looks good in the suit. I'm sure she will. It's not like she's like magically fucking become like decrepit, like Jesus Christ. She's Jennifer Garner. But yeah, I'm very interested to see her back in this, and the people from the Fox X-Men that are coming back for the movie.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm looking forward to Deadpool 3 immensely. The Marvels is a decent watch. It's not a dumpster fire. It's a neat, fun movie. It's comic booky. It's quirky. It's dumb. It's weird. It's what it should be. It's an hour 45, so you won't be there for 3 hours. It works. It's fine. It's acceptable.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm with you. It's fine. It's fun. It has a good playful sense of tone to it. But yes, on the flip side is if you start looking at it under a microscope of like the stuff that came before, what it's a sequel to, a lot of flaws start coming up with that brisk runtime means like yes, there's a lot of emotional moments that I felt like didn't really get time to breathe and really feel, aka anything going on with Captain Marvel herself and being the Annihilator. I never once really felt anything because we were like talked about it and then moved on.
Yeah, it's like you
But
blew
then
up an AI that was controlling an entire civilization, and then now free of that, they decided to start a civil war. How is any of that your fault?
yeah, I don't know why they thought they chose that. We should be on the fact that the planet's dying more than anything.
And also, it was really fucking easy for her to reignite that sun.
Yeah, so why did she never do that?
That was like a 20-second effort thing.
Yeah, and no like climactic, like it might kill her. Like she just did it and then kept going. I'm like, that could have solved the problem a long time ago. I feel like you could have gone back to Monica as a kid a long time ago if that was the case.
Yeah, there's a lot of forced issues in this movie that don't really make a lot of sense. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Besides that fun movie, I might drop it down to 3 out of 5. I'm really talking about it more. But
the planet of song hurt it for me, but the tone's all over the fucking map here.
Yeah, I didn't really like the Planet song. I was like, okay, this is stupid.
That was very stupid. Yeah, but whatever. You know what? I'll take fun over amazing now because I've come to terms with the fact that we're not getting amazing anymore.
Isn't that sad that we've had to settle for less, basically?
Yeah.
It's like when you see that dude that's trapped in like or gal, you know, that's trapped in a very not a very one-sided relationship, and you're like, why are you in this? You can tell your heart's not in it. They're like, I've just settled. I'll never get what I want. That's what this feels like. It's like a one-sided relationship.
You're like, I had an amazing honeymoon once upon a time, and I hope one day I might get a fraction of that again.
Yeah, he only hits me if I don't cut it right.
Jesus, take it to a super dark place. Way to go.
You're welcome. That's what it feels like with the fucking MCU right now.
Well, you know what? I have hope that if anybody's going to deliver some goddamn amazing to us once again, it's Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
Literally the only MCU film coming out next year. They're all we have left.
Yep. It's all on you.
No pressure.
But I mean, it's literally like, they pulled the goalie. It's open. It's wide open. DC's not playing anymore. It's just, you got nothing in your way. So why not bring it home? Come on.
Yeah, bring it home. And look, I'm telling you, like 2025, more than anything, is the year that's going to make or break them because that's when James Gunn he confirmed his Superman date hasn't changed. So make or break it, Marvel. Like James Gunn's coming from you in 2025, unless Zaslav shows a finished film again.
Well, we will see. I think we should wrap this up. This was a long one. We don't usually go this long on First Thoughts, but we had a lot to talk about here. It's Marvel.
We had a lot to talk about our disappointment with the MCU for quite a while.
This was the appropriate place to do that.
Because we're not only film next year's Deadpool 3, so we're not talking about the MCU for a long time.
Nah, we'll probably do some kind of Fox X-Men retrospective on that episode, which will be a blast.
Oh, that'll be fun. Minus when we start talking about things like Origins Wolverine and Dark Phoenix, both attempts.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a perfect franchise. You're either perfect or you're not Evil Dead. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, luckily when X-Men Fox era hit, it fucking hit.
It did. It really did. They made some of my favorite movies, but we will save that for July 2024. Right now, time to say goodbye. We will also have one on The Killer coming out today, probably same time. So that'll be me and Adam. Enjoy that. And take it easy.